out with a Pledge of Allegiance and then the moment of silence. So if you take it to whatever way you want to do it, I'd stand, and this is what I thought we could do. And I'll step aside and we'll pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And it's our custom in this committee to take a moment of silence, so if you join me with that. Okay. Thanks again, everybody. Before we start then, I'd like all members to know that this is an official hearing and it's all being recorded. Also, I'd like to remind members to mute yourselves until you're called on to speak. And then when it's your turn to speak, please unmute yourself. If you would like to speak, I would prefer that you would use the raise hand heart. Let's see. That's down where you click on participants. If you click at the bottom, I'm somewhat new to this too. If you put your sensor over the screen and at the bottom it says participants, if you click on that over to the right, you'll see names, and then you'll see a button there that says raise hand. Everybody want to try that? There you go. And then you can all lower them. Okay, and Dave Reasoning will keep track of that, as I will try to. If this list starts to build up, again, we're going to try to keep track of a specific order that we'd like to take turns to speak. So first item on our agenda is Senate File 3298, authored by Senator Senjum. Before Senjum speaks, I'd like to have the members wait for our discussion until after he speaks and his testifiers, if you would. So we'll start off. Senator Senjum.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning. Am I okay? I'm not muted, right? Can you hear?
You're good. Thank you.
Thank you. So Senate File 3298 is a pretty simple bill. It's about whole room rule, rather, charter cities and how they conduct themselves within the sphere of the Charter Commission itself. It is obviously relatively simple. I'm not going to overtalk it because I want my my witness, Fran Bradley in Rochester, to do most of this, but it is, I happen to be a member of the Charter Commission there. This is a bill that emanates out of the Rochester Charter Commission. I'm not sure if we have an individual in Brooklyn Park with us today, but there was a point in time where they wanted to testify on this bill as well. But to get to the bill, it's rather simple, as I said earlier. It's simply a matter of Charter Commission appointments, and as a member might go off the Charter Commission, or that member might, if you will, term off, the district judge for the respective area is the one that appoints members to these charter commissions. And as currently exists, the charter or the district judge has 30 days to do this. This would just simply extend that to 60 days. And at that point, rather than overtalk this, maybe we can just hear from the president of the Rochester Charter Commission, Fran Bradley. And Fran, maybe you can pick it up from here.
Hey, Commissioner, if you could introduce yourself for the record. Commissioner Bradley.
Okay, I think I've unmuted. I'm not so sure about video. How are we doing on that yet?
Well,
no video.
We have no video, but we'll take the audio. I don't know if it's that big a deal that we have video.
Okay.
Oh, we have video.
How's that?
Good.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I thank you for hearing this bill this morning, and certainly thank Senator Senchum as well as being the author. Dave sort of gave you the feel, so I won't over elaborate. I do want to just introduce myself briefly. As Dave said, I am Fran Bradley. I'm currently the chair of the Charter Commission in Rochester. There are 107 cities in Minnesota that are charter commissions as opposed to statutory cities, the remainder. And I hope that we're sort of representing their interest, all of those today, because I think what we're asking to do is just sort of common sense kind of thing. I'm also a recovering legislator. You can recover after. I know that for a fact. I spent 12 years, and there's a couple of you, as a matter of fact, that I think we crossed paths along the way at least. So I wish you well in these very challenging and interesting times in Minnesota. So why this bill? Well, Dave kind of gave you a feel. The Charter Commission as a body reviews the charter itself regularly. But this time we decided to go a little beyond that and look at the appointment process because we'd had some difficulties in the prior appointments. Not with involved in this bill, but we were disappointed in our candidate lists. It seemed like every time there was an opening, we were just sort of running chaotically trying to find people to serve. So we've now adopted the city's system, which allows people to sign up to be part of a database. And so that's up and working. So that took care of that part. The other part, as Senator Senchum indicated, was looking at the statutory language for appointments. And we believe, and I think that's been affirmed in all kinds of circles, that statutory language was really intentionally setting the appointment process to be done on the judicial branch. The chief judge in each of the districts is the appointment officer. So we found a few things in the language in the section that is before you. Dave mentioned the timeline. We changed that. We made sure that if you read the language, it looked like an existing member whose term was ending couldn't reapply. So we fixed that. And then sort of the more significant piece probably was there was a provision that if the chief judge didn't meet a timeline, that it would be sent to the city council. And that seems a little bit inconsistent with the notion that the judicial branch should be handling it. So we are suggesting to strike that language. We haven't encountered any kind of opposition. We think that this is a fairly straightforward bill today, so we would appreciate very much your positive vote to move it ultimately to the Senate floor and to help us with passage there. So thank you again for today. I wish you all the best in these troubling times. I thank you for your service and God bless you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Simmons, are you on? You want to unmute yourself? You see over the bottom left corner, mute, or on your picture, you can click mute or unmute. The blue up there. Dave, can you unmute him?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Simmons, on your video, go to the upper right corner, put your sensor on your picture, go to the upper right corner, and it should say mute or unmute, and you're going to click that. You see that up there?
Here we go.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, Mr. Simmons, if you'd identify yourself for the record, please. Whoops, we lost him. Now, there we go. How's that? Nope, still can't hear you.
Why now?
Now I can.
Okay, great. I'm getting sketchy reception this morning. I'm sorry for that. If you can hear me, I'm Scott Simmons. I'm the current chair of the Brooklyn Park Charter Commission.
Yep. We can hear you.
Sketchy audio.
We're still hearing you though.
Is it possible for you to log off for a second?
Sure. Do what you need to do. Let's give him a second and see if we can get him back.
While we're waiting, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Senator Lane.
Yes, I'm, as you may know, I'm a member of our charter commission here in Columbia Heights, and I had the experience of running into that timeline just recently. I needed to go in and do the swearing of the oath, and it just ran into complications with work at the legislature and the craziness that we're in, and I did not get over there in time, and so I'm timed out, and I have reapplied.
Okay. Oh, good. So this is going to help you too?
I hope so.
Yeah. Mr. Simmons?
How about that? Is that better?
That's working. Go ahead.
Okay, I have sketchy connection. Yeah, hi, I'm Scott Simmons, Chair of the Brooklyn Park Charter Commission. And thank you for the opportunity, and Senator Senjum for introducing this bill, which our Charter Commission approved or thought it was worthy of support for two reasons. One is that it solves the reappointment issue, which would have come as a surprise to many of us who have been reappointed to the Charter Commission over the past few years, including myself. The second and probably more important issue is the one about making sure that all the appointments come through the district judge and not through their respective municipalities. We think it's important to preserve the independence and autonomy of a charter commission to have the appointments not done by the municipalities, but rather by the chief judge of the respective districts. So in that light, we support the bill.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Simmons.
You're welcome.
Do we have anyone else that has something to say from the public? And then we'll ask members. Seeing none. Members, do you have any discussion that you'd like to have or questions on this for any of our testifiers? Seeing none. Senator Senjum, do you have anything else you want to say?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members for hearing this bill. I do believe, and I'm reasonably sure that this bill is on the floor of the House. So if we could pass this bill on, we could probably move it on with respect to this legislative session. I think all has been said that needs to be said about the bill. It does, as noted, preserve the autonomy of charter commissions. It provides for an appointment process by the extension to 60 days. A district judge from time to time may get a little busy, and this is probably not his or her top priority, but it does provide that 60-day window, if you will, for reappointments, which our district judge in southeast Minnesota has approved, if you will, or believes it's probably a good idea. I think her comment was that if I can't do it by 30 days, I ought to get fired, but we don't want to see her fired. So 60 days provides a nice window, and it, I think, will allow all of these charter commission reappointments to move forward in a nice sort of way. So appreciate your support on the bill.
Senator Jasinski, do you have something?
Sure, thanks. Just in comparing, so it's, Dave, the judge gets the recommendations from either the city council or the charter commission. Who recommends them to the judge down there? Just curious.
What I will tell you, Mr. Chair and Senator Jasinski, as I applied, I filled out a form on the computer on the city website that I suspect went to, I'm going to believe the legal section of the city, and I was simply referred on to the district judge. So an individual, in my case, I felt I applied directly to the district judge.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you.
Senator Uyghur, do you have some comment?
Yes, I support the bill. Thank you, Senator Senjum, testifiers. I was wondering, Senator Senjum, could this be recommended to go to the consent calendar?
Senator Senjum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Senator Uyghur. I would love to be on the consent calendar. So,
You
yes,
make the
that
motion.
would be a nice recommendation.
Okay. Senator Lane, your hand is still up.
Yes.
Would you like to say something else?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have the other charter bill that was unanimously passed and bipartisan, and I'm wondering if it could go with this one at some point, either in a little, we could amend it on or something, so that we can get my unanimously passed charter commission bill also included.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. Any other questions, members? Seeing none, Senator Anderson, do you want to move this bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to ask the question, though, if we, will that have to be amended on the floor for Senator Lane's bill to be added to that, or how will that work before we send this on to general orders or to the consent calendar?
I'm not sure. Ms. White, do you have a comment on that?
Mr. Chair and members, yes, it would either have to be amended now or amended on the floor.
Okay, we don't have that amendment here.
No, it's not ready.
So we'll look at that for the floor. Why don't you send that to my office and we'll take a look at it and see what we can do there, Senator Lane.
All right, thank you.
Sound good?
Thank you.
And probably get an amendment ready too. Okay, Senator Doris Ray, did you have something you want to say?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, I was wondering if it would be possible for us to actually offer that amendment, but if it is not ready, I don't know if she can do a verbal amendment. That bill actually passed, the committee, as you know. But if you agree to do an amendment in the floor, just that we're trying to do the floor so fast, it seems, so people cannot, don't have a problem.
Right.
For too long, but I leave it up to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, without, having it in front of us, I think it's best for us to wait, but let's talk about that and see if we can do that on the floor. Okay, thank you. Senator Anderson, want to move the bill?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Appreciate that. I recommend that and move that Senate File 3298 be recommended to pass and be sent to general orders or consent calendar.
General orders.
Okay.
So members, before we, I'll move this again, but before I want to make sure that we've got the voting correct and how we're doing it. You're going to want to unmute yourself, and we want to be able to see you live, and so that you'll raise your hand and say aye for the question that I give you, and then you lower your hand. But keep your hand up for a minute so I can scan, make sure we get everybody on here. So Senator Ander moves Senate File 3298 and to be recommended to pass and sent to general orders.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair?
Yes, who's asking? Senator Wiegert?
Chuck Wiegert? Yep. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just on the point raised earlier about Senator Lane's bill, it was unanimous, and I'm wondering if council might have electronic ready access to it, where we might just lay this over and then could perhaps put the amendment on after we take action on the next bill. It's just a thought offered in good faith, but to expedite the process where we seem to have a meeting of the minds.
Right.
It is absolutely non-controversial, as I understand it, but it might help expedite the process to consent calendar. So then we would lay this over if you saw this as a viable path.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have a problem with it. It's a matter of, the House. Have they passed it also? And where's their bill on that?
Yes, they have passed it also. And I'm sorry I wasn't alert to this ahead of time. I was dealing with a oral surgeon.
Oh, well, I'm glad you were able to get in. Senator Clausen, were you going to say something?
No, Mr. Chair, but I would support Senator Wiegert's idea that we just lay this over until later on today in this meeting, a half an hour or whatever. And if we can have Ms. White work on that, I think that would be a good idea.
Okay. I'm not sure.
Chair?
Yes.
I mean, I certainly don't have any problems with that. I'm trying to think through the whole idea of the conference committee issue and how that's going to procedurally work. I mean, we could have a 2-minute conference committee, I suppose, but is that another Zoom meeting somehow? I'm just kind of wondering how that might be approached and whether that gets clumsy. That's certainly, I don't have any quarrels with her amendment or her bill. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's a good bill, but it's just the conference committee process where that gets muddied up.
Yeah, Senator Lane, let's do this on the floor. And I think, and then we can talk to the House, make sure we're going to work that out with them. And then there won't be any glitches.
All right, I'll have that conversation with the House also.
Sounds good. Now, I want to make sure that this is supposed to go to general orders. Dave Risenen, do we have that corrected, general orders, or is it supposed to go to the floor?
Mr. Chair, I would prefer general orders, but it's up to the author.
Okay, well, we'll do general orders then. You okay with that, Senator Senjum?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just so we get to the floor and get it done. We've taken it this far. Hopefully, we can get it done this session.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Senator Uyghur.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, want this to pass yesterday. Do we have to send anything to rules since we are past the third deadline? Or they just go right to the floor?
That's not my understanding. Ms. White or Mr. Reasoning?
Mr. Chair, the bill will automatically go to rules. It'll be sent to general orders, but it gets caught and goes to rules. So the motion is general orders. So
good. All right,
okay.
Uyghur, sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So again, Senator Anderson has moved Senate File 3298, recommended to pass, sent to general orders. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Hands down. All opposed, raise your hand and say aye. Seeing no opposition, the bill passes and moves on to general orders. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee.
Thank you, Senator Senjum and testifiers. Okay, moving on to Senate File 4525, Senator Kiffmeyer. Senator Kiffmeyer, my understanding is you have an author's amendment, the A3 amendment. Do you want to tell us about that amendment before we have that moved?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The amendment is quite straightforward. There are two things. Number one, we're striking line .115, which is striking the language having to do with land conveyance documents under Chapter 507. And then we have the addition on the effective date modification, which we've done in other bills similar to this done during COVID. So what it does is after January 6, 2021, or 60 days after the emergency powers ends, whichever is earlier. So that is the amendment, Mr. Chair.
Okay, members, do you have any questions on the amendment? Seeing none, Senator Anderson, would you move the amendment to the A3?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I move the A3 amendment.
Senator Anderson moves the A3 amendment. Again, raise your hand and unmute yourself. All in favor of the amendment A3, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. Senator Kiffmeyer, will you want to explain your bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. So the bill we have before us today has to do with the request by the Association of Minnesota Counties. In particular, though this bill will authorize counties, cities, and townships to accept certain documents or signatures electronically through the language of this bill. So the first item is planning, zoning, land use, architecture documents, applications for certified copies of birth and death records, and recording a notary commission. And Mr. Chair, I do have a testifier from Sherburne County, Bruce, who I would appreciate if you would give him an opportunity to testify at this time.
Glad to have him, Mr. Messelt. If you'd like to introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members of the committee. My name is Bruce Messelt, and I currently serve as the administrator for Sherburne County. I also serve as the vice president for the Minnesota Association of County Administrators. With me today, I also have Mr. Felix Schmiesing, who's the Sherburne County board chair for 2020 and a county commissioner, as well as Sherburne County's elected county recorder, Michelle Ash. We're with you today to testify in favor of Senate File 4525 as amended, and thank you for that. This is relating to local governments being able to accept secure documents via electronic signature, via electronic secure facsimile, or via secure mail. You may ask some of you why this bill is needed, because there's already on the books a statute, which is 325L, and that's entitled the Uniform Electronic Transaction Act. And ironically, for cities, it works pretty well. But for counties, there's some exceptions for 325L. And Minnesota statute 325 does point out the legislative intent, which we believe is to allow electronic signatures where secure, where identified, for the conducting of legal transactions. But for counties, especially during this pandemic, there are significant exceptions to 325L. And as you can imagine right now, we're literally shut down. And so we're not able to provide a lot of these services. Senator Kiffmeyer mentioned planning and zoning applications, land use documents, documents requiring signatures of architects, engineers, getting certified copies of birth and death certificates. And there's a few other exceptions that we're not asking for in this bill, which I'll cover later. Normally, these exceptions are processed in person when people come to the government center, or they can use a notary public where it's allowed to verify signatures. That wouldn't pose a problem during normal times, but as you know, we're not in normal times. During the COVID-19 pandemic and the results specifically of the stay-at-home orders and the social distancing requirements, we're just simply not able to provide these functions in person anymore. When we shut down for 2 weeks, that was doable. But now that we're looking at a minimum of a 5-week stay-at-home order, and likely a stay-at-home order in some form or fashion for some of our population, and the social distancing, we're going to have problems providing essential government services going forward, especially for our vulnerable populations who actually may need these birth certificates, death certificates, things like that. And we think it's going to go well beyond the May 4th deadline. As such, it made sense for us to request through Senator Kiffmeyer that local governments get temporary authority to conduct some of these critical functions electronically, so that we can honor the stay-at-home order and the social distancing and gathering restrictions. We believe the best way to do this is to allow us to have authorization to accept verified, identified, and verified electronic signatures that would only be used during this declared emergency and would only be used under existing and proving means of security. For some government functions, and unless we act today, there's no alternative to wet signatures or in-person verification. There are a few exceptions that we have found, and since the bill has been modified, and you see that by the amendment, that there are ways to kind of work around that. For instance, there are some notary publics that do have what's called remote online notarization. The challenge we have is, of course, getting the notary publics married up with our customers, and a lot of times those notary publics still require wet person signatures. So even though people don't come to the government center, they would then have to travel to a notary's office. The chances of putting that together, of course, is what we will do if we don't get legislation and trying actually to create our own notaries in the building. Unfortunately, the Secretary of State's office is also on limited services. They're 3 weeks behind on getting notaries even certified. And then after that, you have to go through electronic notarization and remote notarization licensing. But there are some things that we could do in a worst case scenario. As you know, there are very valid electronic signatures that are legally accepted. You've heard of DocuSign, Adobe Sign, HelloSign. So there are ways that we know we can do this electronically during a crisis. We're finding it difficult to set up those workarounds. For instance, with plats, we literally have people come to the door, do a blind drop off. We take them in the building and we walk them around to get signatures because it still requires a wet signature. It's very cumbersome, and some people are just uncomfortable with that important of a document being left basically to its own device. So what we're asking for is limited statutory authority to provide us with one additional tool for which we can address essential government functions for the short term. Of note, the language is permissive. It doesn't require or obligate local governments to utilize electronic signatures. The language is only effective for the time frame of the declared peacetime emergency, as Senator Kiffmeyer mentioned. After that, if it's successful, we'd like to come back and talk to you about whether it's a good tool to keep. The language has been crafted with the input and the support of AMC, MICA, and the Minnesota Association of County Administrators. Under existing law, counties remain fully obligated to perform and provide at least the same, if not the greater level of verification and security for these activities that are currently required for in-person or signatures and public notaries. So we're not asking for less security or less identity. Specifically, I would note that under the Uniform Electronic Transaction Act, which is 325L, local governments are required for specific requirements to accept electronic records, and this is from the statute, including giving due consideration to security, specification of control processes and procedures as appropriate to ensure adequate preservation, disposition, integrity, security, confidentiality, and auditability of electronic records. So it's a pretty high bar. Let me talk about what this legislation does not do with respect to a few in-person transactions, which we don't want to change, but might be an interest to your committee. It does not change how marriage licenses are transacted. This was done on a separate bill, and our county recorders noted that under the Emergency Marriage License Act, we already have had one remote marriage license application, so that's working. It does not affect how gun permits are going to be processed. This may be addressed by other committees later, but it's not in this bill. It does not address the in-person requirements for driver's licenses, real ID, or passport services. As you know, we've already agreed and federal law has taken action to delay or amend those requirements and transactions because they just can't be accomplished right now. It will also not affect plats, which still require wet signatures. But again, we're doing that workaround with the handoff of the Mylars. With the A3 amendment, I just want to note specifically, and I want to thank specifically the BAR and the Minnesota County Recorders Association for their assistance. We also were able to take out the real estate transactions, which can be accomplished electronically now. So we did look at a broader net and have pared down to exactly what it would affect. And finally, it does not impact public health records, human services activities, assessing functions, or corrections functions. These have been able to be handled administratively for the short term, and so we're not seeking a statutory waiver. In summary, I guess I just point to your committee meeting today as a testament to what we can accomplish during a pandemic emergency. If we can figure out a way, and you can figure out a way, during just such a crisis to introduce, deliberate, and pass legislation with a smart combination of technology, electronic communications, and very limited social interaction, surely we think we can do the same for the execution of these vitally important documents for our citizens. That's exactly what Senate File 4525 does as amended. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Members, any questions for our testifier?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Senator Kiffmeyer.
So if we have a question, I'll certainly do that, but I want to call attention to the Association of the Architects They have a letter, but I know during this situation, it may be difficult to read those letters. I just want to excerpt a little bit for them. They've sent a letter in support, and their documents, architecture documents, are on line 1.16. And this is a tool that they really appreciate, want to have to keep local construction projects on track. And so those are issues that right now this bill will facilitate it, but that would otherwise prevent them from submitting proposals during this particular time. So as we know, spring is a big construction time in Minnesota, and the architects are often a key part of that, even for school buildings, other things like that. So this bill will facilitate the construction market, and I think that's an important consideration.
Thank you, Senator Kiffmeyer. Mr. Messelt, if I could ask you a question. Just recently, I have gotten my gun permit. Is the gun permit part of the, you already said it's not part of this. If it were to be, is it similar to the rest, or does it have an element to it that really would be hard to put into something like this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm not exceptionally conversant on the gun permit statutes. I would have to defer to our sheriff. What I would tell you is he has advocated very strongly for retaining the in-person requirements.
Okay.
And I don't think he would be supportive of electronic signatures. So in our circumstances, we are still processing them. We have a secure transaction counter. It's by appointment only. And I do believe the Sheriff's Association would still want those to be wet signatures simply because of that added level of verification.
Nice to know. Thank you. Members, any other questions? Hearing none, Senator, do you have anything you'd like to say, Senator Kiffmeyer, before we move forward?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for your time. I appreciate your support, members. I would appreciate that, and that's all I have, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your time.
Okay, Senator Anderson, would you like to move the bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that Senate File 4525 be recommended to pass as amended and be sent to general orders.
Senator Anderson moves that Senate File 4525 be recommended to pass as amended and sent to general orders. All in favor, you would unmute yourself. Thank you. And I need to be able to see anybody, Senator Uyghur would be the only one I can see that we need to change. Let's wait a second, see if Senator Uyghur can get on. I see he might have had to step away for a second. Senator, here he comes. Okay. Hi. File 4525 as amended to pass. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Put your hands down. Same sign for no. Seeing none, the amendment, I'm sorry, the bill as amended does pass.
Chair and members.
You're welcome. Nice to have you in the committee, Senator Kiffmeyer. Any further business of members that would like to say anything before we adjourn? Senator Uyghur.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was curious with under 3 weeks left, are you planning on processing any confirmations?
I don't see any confirmations at this point that we would be doing before the emergency is lifted. That I haven't seen, so I can't comment much more on it than that. If the emergency gets lifted, I think things change, and we may get to some of those things that aren't as, I don't mean as important, but you know what I mean. They're not pertinent to the COVID-19.
Okay. Well, you know, respectfully, Mr. Chair, I mean, we have taken up several on the floor, and I think they've all been unanimous, and sure. You could certainly argue there are confirmations within the committee's jurisdiction that would have that same relevance, but that's your call.
Okay, thank you. Senator Osmic?
Mr. Chair, did you say that you got a firearm?
Did I say that?
Yes.
Yeah, I said I took firearm training.
Ah. Okay, well, knowing you, I didn't understand how you could possibly have passed the background check, but okay, thank you.
Whoa.
Whoa. What are meetings going on? Senator
That's a good
Wickman,
one, Oz.
do you have anything to say to Senator Osmic about that allegation? Going to get any fights going here. Senator Clausen would like to add on to that.
I'm going to stay out of this one, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, that's probably best. Members, with no further business on the agenda, I want to thank you again for your patience today. A few little glitches, but I think it went pretty well. And without any further business, we stand adjourned. Thanks again.